Hello guys, how are you? I hope you're doing great. Here it's Rafael, and today me and Brenda we are going to present the Seminar 6. In the Seminar 6, we will discuss about two texts, The Practice of English Language by Jeremy Harmer and The Principled Grammar Teaching by Basson and Elias. Um, in The Practice of English Language by Jeremy Harmer, he tells us about how to teach grammar in a better mood in a way that students can better understand this and develop their skills. Um, the grammar teaching sometimes happens as a result of working of another activity that the students are doing at that time. For example, guys, if we take a task, then we give it to the students and they will face the grammar without knowing that. Then we explain the grammar to them. Got it? Because if the students just see the grammar without being touchable to them, they will think so hard to understand. But in a context, it's easier to the teacher and to the student as well. In the course of the chapter, Harmer presents different activities in order to teach grammar, different approach according to the age level and activity goal. He divides the text in four parts: introducing grammar, discovering grammar, practicing grammar, and the grammar games. In the first part, introducing grammar, he shows us different strategies in order to show grammar in real situations, using photos and associated pictures, drilling the past forms to enhance the student's learning. And first he presents the text, then the grammar. Generally, teachers do the opposite. Plenty of times we show grammar than the text, but here he is suggesting in this mood. Discovering grammar. In the second part, letter B, he he shall he encourages the students to work out for themselves how language forms are constructed and used. We can see in this part that he shows um, a list of comparative words. Then the students looking at the list and observing should try to discover the rules. Okay, it's important to say that this is not a complete activity because it doesn't teach all this stuff, but it's pretty good to encourage the students to try to learn by themselves and also to observate. It's really good. Okay, as I said, for example, in exercise 1, a list of with comparative words is presented. Then the pupils will try to answer the grammar questions about it. In letter C, practicing grammar, Harmer focuses attention on interaction in this exercise. They are dynamic and can be practiced for the whole class, as in the example 7, 8, 10, and 11. He also stimulates students with smart match tasks. Each challenges the students with conditionals, for example. Thus, students are shared to put in train what they have seen before or watching at the first time. And in the grammar games part, Harmer calls our attention because we can take things from the world of these teenagers and present it to them. For example, guys, TV shows, sports, and programs can be adapted to exercise, and it is pretty good. For example, if you present a task about Harry Potter, a plenty of students can enjoy it. Or about, let me see, series on Netflix, Cobra Kai, for example. Plenty of teenagers, they like Cobra Kai, and we can work grammar using things they like. It's so much enjoyable. And in the last part, he make a comment about the use of grammar books. It's really important that teachers pick a grammar and always look at it, because we don't know everything, and some things are so specific that we should check in grammar. So we should take a grammar and always study it when necessary, okay? Teachers should study as well, a plant so much. So that's my part, guys. Now Brand is going to present the second part about the Basson and Nila's text.
Hello everyone, I'm Brenda and I'm going to talk about the text Principled Grammar Teaching by Rob Batson and Rod Ellis. So, there are now a number of grammar teaching models available to teachers, but the authors believe that rather than specifying a sequence of types of activities, an alternative is to identify a set of principles that can guide the selection of specific instructional procedures. Such an approach allows for a flexible but theoretically informed approach to teaching grammar that will provide teachers with a basis for evaluating their own teaching and the proposals that have emanated from language teaching methodologists and SLA researchers. The tests show three principles that the authors describe, and they are informed by one general principle. Effective grammar instruction must complement the process of L2 acquisition. The given new contract points out that grammatical choices, such as whether to use active or passive voice, are frequently motivated by determining what the hearer can reasonably be expected to know. The given to new contract focuses on language use. However, the author's concern is with the ways in which given and new information are aligned in the interests of language acquisition, which they refer to as the given to new principle. That is the idea that the process of making new form or function connections involves the exploitation of what the learners already know about the world as part of their given schematic knowledge. This also helps us to understand something, how a meaning we are already familiar with is expressed by a particular grammatical form. Batson 2002 has argued that the significance of the given to new principle is underrated in communicative approaches to language teaching. Some textbooks activities give space to students to make mistakes. The teacher should give some information to the students so they could understand better what is asked. For example, this activity on the screen. You can pause if you want to. In this activity, the student could say that will is used to talk about bread, but that going to is used to talk about sugar. And this is out of reality. But using a simple correction as this one here on the screen, you can pause if you want to, the student would be able to understand and answer the question correctly. Van Patten 1996 and 2004 and others propose an approach to grammar teaching known as process instruction. It prompts learners to make new connections between form and meaning while is preventing them from taking shortcuts which bypass the grammar. That is because the sentences are constructed to avoid the use of lexical cues. It is argued that process instruction effectively forces learners to process the grammar more deeply than they otherwise would through input that has been specially structured to provide exemplars of the target feature. This given to new principle makes an important contribution to the theoretical basis of process instruction. But the awareness principle is directed at making learners aware of how a particular meaning is encoded by a particular grammatical form. It is possible, of course, that learners are able to make the connection between meaning and form implicitly, without awareness. And To some extent, this probably does take place, but as Schmidt 2001 has convincingly argued, people learn about the things they attend to and do not learn much about the things they do not attend to. Ellis and Guy's 1999 offer a sequence of activities where the first of which requires students to listen to a short text, which contains examples of the target structure and answer a number of questions to establish a general understanding of the text. They present activities that the students have to listen to an audio about a Tamagotchi, for example, and answer simple questions, for example, what is a Tamagotchi? What a person that has a Tamagotchi should have to do. And after that, they listen to the audio again, but now the instruction is to pay attention to the use of a and the, completing the text as they listen to it. Also, after this activity, they have another one to see if they are correct. Those exercises have two essential features. First, the specific grammatical features the learners are attend to is made explicit in the instructions. Second, the completion of the text does not depend on learners to know which form to enter in each blank, but on their ability to detect the correct form in the input as they listen. It makes the students to have an attentional attention. Instructional materials need to go beyond encouraging noticing of linguistic forms and guide learners to construct an explicit rule to account for the form meaning mapping. Activities that have this purpose have been referred to as consciousness-raising tasks. A consciousness-raising task is a pedagogic activity where the learners are provided with L2 data in some form and are required to perform some operation on or with it, the purpose of which is to arrive at an explicit understanding of some regularity in data, according to Alice 1991. It's a discovery learning. There are two broad types of grammar teaching activities. Those that treat grammar as an object to be studied and analyzed, and those that treat it as a tool for engaging in effective communication. The former type typically involves contrived examples and inauthentic operations, while the latter strives to achieve either situational or interactional authenticity. Johnson 1988 and 1996 noted that cognitive theories of language acquisition emphasize the need for practice in the context of real operating conditions. That is, learners need the opportunity to practice language in the same conditions that apply in real-life situations, in communication where their primary focus is on message conveyance rather than on linguistic accuracy. He emphasizes the importance of feedback in the learning process. The author shows other theories, for example, the negotiation for meaning, skill acquisition theory, and concept-based instruction. Concept-based instruction and skill acquisition theory assume that it is desirable to develop learners' explicit knowledge of the target feature before they start trying to process it in communication. But there are a number of problems with this approach. One is to ignore the well-attested fact that the acquisition of grammatical structure is a gradual process involving transitional stages. An alternative way of developing students' explicit understanding is to make the target feature explicit to the students in the course of their performing a communicative task. The authors emphasize 2 points. The need to ensure that students engage the process needed to acquire a form-function mapping, They need opportunities to experience the mapping in real operating conditions, and this need will frequently be necessary to guide them towards the consolidation of a form-function mapping, so they can apply it in real operating conditions. They say it must necessarily involve the given to new and awareness principles in real operation conditions. In the conclusion, they show that models of grammar teaching vary according to the theory of grammar teaching that informs them. It may be a fruitless exercise to try to demonstrate that one model has greater merit than another. They argue that instruction needs to embody, in one way or another, the three principles we have discussed. So this is it, everyone. Thank you very much for listening to us.